All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest edition of the Hardwood Nation's Flagrant 2 podcast. What's going on, Bryce?
Not much, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm ready. We saw a little bit of basketball this week. What did you think of what you saw so far?
Mostly good. A lot of the teams that I thought would be good looked smooth, and I saw a few not so great teams in my eyes look a little clunky. Pretty much what I expected, I thought. But exciting to see some of these guys on the court playing well. Glad to see no one tested, like all the players clean. No one tested
Yeah,
positive, so it's working.
yeah, it's working as long as they don't slip any groupies in. They'll be fine. So you still got to look out for that because I think somebody's going to slip someone in. Actually, right now, Lou Williams is being investigated by the NBA because he got excused to leave the bubble, and then there are pictures popping up of him in a gentleman's club in Atlanta. So the NBA's interviewing him about that to see how long he's going to be under quarantine. So, and we know Lou has his two ladies, so we'll see what happens with that.
He's still having a good time. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine.
yeah, yeah. Lou's been in the streets for a couple of years now. Oh, there's Riley.
He's in the limelight of his career. He's like, yeah, I'm just having a good time.
Hey, Riley's like, yeah, he's confirming that Lou's under investigation right now. So
Is he a Lou Williams fan?
I guess he's not right now. Yeah, I guess he's not. So what did you see any of the Orlando Magic scrimmages? Because I saw a little bit of them.
I saw very little of the actual first one against the Clippers.
Mhm.
No, they lost. And then I watched highlights and some of the Lakers game.
Okay, did you see what DJ Augustine was able to produce in that Lakers game?
I saw some of it.
Got it.
I saw.
Got it.
Um, I like. I don't know. He just has a feel for the like. I saw him slashing and either like pulling up like a mid range or like kicking at the right time. Like he just has a decent feel or a very good feel for that offense. I feel like I forget how many there now, but he just looks very comfortable.
Yeah,
I
DJ
think
was
he
very
thrives in
sharp.
this environment. He
He,
looked good.
he was very sharp, and even Michael Carter Williams was very sharp in that backcourt. So I know there's a certain segment of Magic fans that don't like DJ Augustine, but I've always been a proponent of his, and I think he's actually settled down in Orlando, and I think he'll be a good piece going forward for that franchise.
Yeah. We definitely don't have a lot of depth. So where we do have some talent and some depth and experience, we definitely need to try, I guess, to utilize it as much as
Hmm.
possible. Mixing up lineups, things like that. Michael Carter Williams hasn't really stuck in a lot of places. He has a somewhat unique style, I guess. It might not fit with certain players, certain teams. Who knows? Either way, the kid's got talent. Um, if he can play smart and not take wild shots, things like that, and just put everybody else in a good position, play off Augustine's son because he's big.
Yeah, yeah, he's a
Um,
big guy.
I like the combo, and our guards. I'm not. It's weird. It's like I'm not really worried about our guards, and we don't even have Fultz. And I think Fultz has the most upside long term wise. Um, but Augustine right now, I almost feel like he should be on the court a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
helping everybody get in their rhythm. Um, Gordon looked, I thought Gordon looked pretty good. Not trying to do too much, just like kind of playing in his game. Fournier looked like he was comfortable, like didn't look rusty. Um, but it's just we're just missing some things. We can't shoot. Like we're streaky, and then we don't have a lot of scorers anyways. So it's hard when we're not knocking down shots. That's probably like to me what our biggest issue is because we can do a lot of things right, and it's not like our team defense is necessarily bad. We got some good size, especially when we have Isaac and Bamba.
Oh,
But
Bamba's looking good too. Yeah, he's looking
he's
good. He's
looking
getting
fit,
bigger.
man.
Yeah, he's getting
Yeah,
bigger. Yeah, I mean stronger. Um,
and when Isaac, I think, can put on a little weight, he's already got the size and length, and I think has some tools to really be interesting.
Hmm.
And we might get Fultz and him back soon. I think they're already participating in like scrimmages, like 5-on-5 stuff with the team or full contact. So,
Hmm.
but we'll see. I mean, if the team's in a rhythm and you throw those guys in there and they're really rusty, then obviously they shouldn't see too many minutes. But especially at the guard position, because we have Augustine and Michael Carter Williams playing decent. I like Augustine a lot right now. So
Got it. Got it. As you
I
should.
don't know.
As you should.
We're playing okay. It's just we don't have that it factor. We don't, and our scoring can disappear immediately. So we kind of come and go as that. It seems like right now, and the better teams, the elite teams that we're already playing against, they look already on point, and it showed in the games. I mean, it's not like we were blown out. We had some big gaps for a while, but we were able to close some of those too. We just don't have that final, get over the hill moment, especially not against these elite teams. So pretty much what I
Right.
expected.
Yesterday, I saw a undermanned Heat team because we still don't have Bam back. He should be back next week. We just got Kendrick Nunn back, who was probably going to be the runner-up for Rookie of the Year, and Jimmy Butler didn't play yesterday. But I saw the Heat team give Utah, who had everyone. I mean, they lost by 2 points to Utah. That's not bad. Utah's a solid team out west, and even though these games are listed as scrimmage games, they're really preseason games, and a lot of these guys are playing hard, especially trying to get back into shape. Which they're not in bad shape, but their win could be, their win and their cardio could be off. But a lot of these guys are playing good, so I was impressed to see the Heat hanging there at Utah. Without Butler, without Bam, who are two-star players, we just didn't have enough to finish. But I mean, losing the 2 points to Utah isn't bad. Um, I caught a little bit of the Magic Lakers game. LeBron looked crisp. AD didn't play, but the Lakers looked okay. I just think they're going to have a little problems with depth if they run into certain teams, like let's say the Clippers. I think they're going to have a little problem with some depth there. I keep forgetting that the Clippers have Reggie Jackson as well coming off their bench, and I mean they're just loaded.
Mm-hmm.
They are
They're
so
stacked.
loaded. And the Lakers don't have that outside of LeBron and AD. If the wheels come off, the Lakers are going to be shook. So it just all depends on who the Lakers can match up with. But one thing I'll say about the hardwoodnation.net, we're having another record week. We had a couple of articles hit this week. One from Cortez Paul touting Adam Silver and the job he's done as far as setting up the Orlando bubble, which was a great piece. Really in depth piece about the Orlando bubble by Cortez. And we had one earlier by Elsie
Mm-hmm.
Bibbs. And then Austin Turner actually dropped Hardwood's first power rankings in about 5 years. We haven't had power rankings in so long. And Austin did a phenomenal job with that. Real quick, how did you feel about Cortez's piece?
It's interesting. I always find like he usually has some pretty interesting subject material, and everything he's written, I've like enjoyed his perspective and his take on this was no different. Uh, the NBA to me just handles these things better and more efficiently at a lot of times than um, baseball and football. Fo- Baseball, it just seems like it's like a size problem, or it's like so many people
Hmm.
that come together for that it's like that seems to be a bigger issue to me for that, like team wise and stuff. And football is huge teams too, and they seem to be having issues, cutting like in the article it said cutting team sizes and things like that to even think about doing it. But it seems like in terms of having a location and keeping their players separated and safe and like in their own like the bubble, like it's been called. Um, it seems like no one's even ready to do something like that, and the NBA are is already playing. They're on the court. That's how fast they did it, and they've done it safely.
Right.
That goes to Silver and his team and the structure and the communication. And it was a little touch and go for a little bit, but that's going to be with um, any of these unions and was it just trying to think of like the commissioners and stuff. It's going to be an issue everywhere. So the fact that they're able to work it out and get on the court this fast safely is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I've been watching JaVale McGee's blog from the bubble, and a few other players that have blogs too. But I've been watching McGee's and just seeing the the inside take of the bubble. I mean, he actually showed them doing the test for the COVID. They do a, swab test and stick these Q-tips in your nose and stuff, and they have the bands that they do temperature checks with the band. So
Yeah,
you,
I saw that. I was impressed by
right.
that.
Yes, I mean the protocols that they're taking are pretty good. Even he met up with J.R. Smith in a restaurant, and of course there was no one there at the resort. But the people that worked there, they still had masks on, gloves on, paper menus. They've really worked this out. So yeah, kudos to them and kudos to Cortez for diving deep into
Yeah.
that. Um, I was happy this is one of his first Magic, non-Magic centric articles. So yeah, I was really shocked by that. But yeah, Cortez has been with me from the beginning, so he
No,
put in some
I
good stuff.
enjoyed it, and I was gonna say something else. The NBA works smart to team up with Disney because having a partner to help you out with this, with the facilities that Disney has, is about the best I would imagine that you could hope for. Because I've seen some of the players, especially in the beginning, were like complaining about some of the circumstances.
Hmm.
But in terms of how many between players and team members and staff members to actually work at the resorts and stuff, to pull all this together and to have the quality that they do have, there's not a lot of places you could do that ever. So it's like
Right, right,
it might not be up to like some of the standards that some of these players have gotten used to, but to get out there and play like they wanted to do, I think it's the best. It's the most ideal situation any player for any sport could hope for, because it's not going to get better.
right, right.
If the NFL and baseball don't team up with someone and have it structured in something of this fashion, it's going to be a disaster, and
Yeah,
the standards will be subpar what they are at the Disney resorts, because there's just not enough to go around. There's not like that enough of this premier whatever top shelf, with the structure that Disney has with its employees and stuff. They control everything.
right,
There's not
right,
another company that has the facilities to pull off what Disney has pulled off with the NBA. So
right.
some of the players might not be happy, but it's only going to get worse for other players in other sports if they try to attempt it the way the NBA has, which is by far been the best and quickest way. So everyone
Yeah,
has something to learn from the NBA.
I'm not paying attention to the players who, and it hasn't been that many, but initially a few players
Not
did
now.
complain. But I'm not paying attention to any of that because, like, you guys forget where you come from and stuff. Some of you guys have forgotten where you come from and stuff like that. So I'm not even paying any attention to that. A lot of them have been in worse situations than this, so this is fine. Um, so let's jump into these power rankings, and I want to start off by saying Austin messaged me because he thought I wasn't gonna like it. I guess he thought I wasn't gonna like his writing style and some of his little quirks, and I absolutely loved it. And like I told him at thehardwoodnation.net, we're not a carbon copy of other sites. Like we have personality. I promote personality. If you feel something, put it in writing, right? So I don't I don't want to be stale. I don't want to be bland. So when I started reading over his power rankings and his tiers that he did, like tier one, who invited you, like that was hilarious to me, and it was
Yep.
great. Not necessarily the teams that were in there, but it's just great. Like who invited you, like the Wizards, the Nets, the Suns. Even though the Nets might, the Nets are going to have a shot, but his tiers really stood out to me. Um, that was the first tier. Then we go into the second tier, teams that won't last long. Not a shot, but the Orlando Magic, Sacramento
Mm.
Kings, San Antonio Spurs. Quick question about the Magic. Are you afraid that the Magic may fall out? Because there's going to be a play-in game if if the Magic drop the number 8, if there's a
Mm.
team within 4 games of number 8, there's going to be a play-in game and see who makes the playoffs. I don't agree with it, But how do you feel about
It's a little annoying, but I mean, the Magic have flirted with the in spot, like, barely making it, barely not making it. I mean, they've been consistent with what they've done, but it's it's always been a little bit of a worry, anyways. So, I mean, for the sake of having basketball back, we just roll with the punches. So, I mean, it's just different. I mean, they have
it?
that around the court, different game right now. It's like they've changed some things, so it is what it is. But I'm not necessarily worried about them falling out. I think we're so close now. It's the way the team looks. It looks like they kind of picked up where they left off, anyways, with the guys who are on the court. So if we can get, you know, Isaac and Fultz back with them not being too bad, I'm not worried about them necessarily falling out. Um, Especially with the way some of these other teams looked that would be pushing the Magic. You know,
Yeah.
I think the Magic look just as good to keep their spot as they have all season. So I'm not worried about it. It's a little annoying, but if they fall out, they fall out. The other team earned it. That's how I see it.
Yeah. All right.
Just deal with it.
So then we have the tier fighting for a playoff spot. So then we have Memphis, New Orleans, who is extremely interesting, and then Portland. A lot of people are thinking Portland might be able to slip in and give the Lakers a run for the money. I'm still not sure of that yet because right now Memphis is holding down the eighth spot. The Pelicans are right there too, but they're still a game or two behind Portland. Do you think Dame has enough to push Portland into the playoffs?
Yeah, yeah, I think he does. Plus, depending on what kind of shape Nurkic is in,
Mhm.
he's supposed to be back.
Yeah, he's gonna be
I
back.
think
Yeah,
in time. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, if he can, I don't know. If he can be out there and make use of his minutes, then I think they have a chance. But Dame is known for, I don't know, doing what he needs to do. I mean, every year he seems to have something that surprises us. Plus, Carmelo Anthony's playing good for them. Um, I think it's just going to be close, but I think they can make it. I think they can get over that hump. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's gonna
Wait,
be really tough. You never know what you're gonna get out of Hassan Whiteside as well, which I think is gonna be huge for Nurkic because he might see more minutes
you
of Whiteside's not productive because we all know how Whiteside is. I dealt with him for 5 years in Miami. Don't get me started on that. Um, I think the
the
Pelicans are
competition might be good.
hell. It may. I don't know. The Pelicans to me are interesting because they have a lot of young talent. Um, they were just coming into their own actually before the season was suspended. Next year, I believe the Pelicans are definitely going to be a playoff team. This year, I don't think they. I think they got off to such a rough start without Zion that they can't make up that ground in 8 games. But next year, the
Hmm.
Pelicans are definitely going to be a playoff team. All right. So the next level that we have, let's see here.
I was afraid the Magic were going to be in the Who Invited You,
The next level
but
we
then I saw
have,
how he did the tiers, so I was like,
yeah,
okay, we're
yeah,
good.
they're great. So solid, but not in title contention. So here we have the Pacers, the Jazz, and the surprise of the list, the Sixers and the Houston Rockets. So he has the Sixers at 11 and the Rockets at 10, and both are behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. So very powerful takes there. I will say the Sixers have underachieved and the Rockets haven't gelled as well as some thought. Um, but what do you think? Do you think the Sixers or the Rockets can be contenders or no?
Not contenders.
Not contenders. Okay.
I,
Okay.
I think they could. I guess at the highest, like I see them making it maybe out of the second. Like I don't know. I just I go back and forth with those teams, and I think that's
Hmm.
why they sit there on the power listing. Is because there's potential there, but they haven't
Hmm.
shown it.
Hmm.
And the playoffs, the environment might expose them even more.
Got
So
it.
in my opinion,
Got it.
so But to me, not so much the Sixers to me, because I don't believe in Embiid and some of the rest of their team. I don't believe in those players as much as what I think Houston could do.
Hmm.
But Houston, you just have those egos there, and not necessarily like a bad way, but with the pieces around them, it's more question marks than assurances.
Hmm.
And if something happens to one of those big two guys, their guards in the game, then they're beatable.
Right.
And I don't think they necessarily have the leadership either. Like Westbrook is a leader, but I don't know if they have like the right kind of like leadership there, because Harden's there too to get them through the rough patches that the playoffs will present.
Hmm.
Like it's almost like who should get it? Well, you can't think that way.
Right. 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 Let's see. So we got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've had a great season under Chris Paul. It is a miracle they
Mm.
are even in the playoffs, but that's a testament to how great of a leader he is, because they were playing excellent ball. So the next tier we have are teams that could make a run. So the Dallas Mavericks at number 8, the Miami Heat, the Denver Nuggets, and Toronto Raptors, and also the Boston Celtics are teams that could make a run at the title. A lot of strong teams here. Celtics, Raptors, Denver, Heat, Mavericks. I personally think the Celtics are the weakest team of that group. They will have a dogfight, maybe with the Sixers in the first round. But how do you feel about the Mavericks and the Nuggets?
Um, they're just gonna be tough matchups, man.
Mhm,
Denver's big.
mhm.
Um, Jokic brings the ball up the court. The other night I saw not Lou Williams. I'm sorry, Holiday. I think
One of the holidays, yeah.
Holiday was on him, and I was just laughing. I was like, "Come on, y'all gotta do something here." Um, and who's that young guard in Denver? With
Jamal
him,
Murray. Jamal Murray.
he's no, he's right there with these young guys who are just. I was used to seeing like young guys come into the league and kind of be like flashy and make some noise, but not be like as consistently dangerous
Right,
as
right,
these newer young guys are right now.
right.
And he's one of them, man. And that his combo, like him and Jokic, are only going to get better together. That team's only going to get better. But they're like the way they're polished now, and like the way they move around. Millsap's there too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, he's a playoff veteran. There's some good talent there that have some decent experience. So um, they're going to give some team trouble. They've been consistent all season. Jokic looks like he's in great shape. Um, Murray's hitting shots. They look dangerous. Um, but in Dallas, in the same ways.
Right.
I think we were talking the other day. I think they'll kind of their success overall will kind of come and go with Porzingis and some of these role players, but like their leader and the guy that they can go to for a bucket. They got two guys they can go to for buckets easily,
Yeah.
and that's
They
just all.
actually look. They actually got three with Tim Hardaway Jr. who can play off the other two guys. He's a knockdown shooter like his father was. So yeah, Dallas.
Yeah,
They may play the Clippers in the first round, which is a detriment to them. It's like because if they played anyone else, they would give them hell. I mean, they're still going to give the Clippers hell, but I think the Clippers will still because the Clippers are big enough and athletic enough to be able to handle the size
yeah,
and athleticism of Dallas. So it's like wow. But this is the learning curve. You got to go through those championship steps. So they might even take the Clippers to 6 games this year. The Clippers will knock them out. And then next year, we'll see what they do once they have a little more experience under their belt. As far as the Heat, you already know how I feel about the Heat. I think there's a shot, a legit shot, that if we can play Milwaukee in the second round, we can knock them out. Um, what they do after that, I don't know. But if we can see Milwaukee in the second round, as it's set right now, that's a possibility. I think the Heat will have a chance to upset them. Anyone who has a problem with it, just Google the Heat's record against Milwaukee since Giannis has been in the league. That's all I have to say. All right, so let's go to the next tier
That would be your
here.
home run scenario, though, because I only, to me, there's like two teams two to three teams like really battling for the East spot, and I think the Heat can surprise people, especially with Butler and their leadership and everything. I mean, Olenek balled out the other night, so
Yeah,
and
27 points. Yeah,
they're rolling. I think some of that's detriment to, like you said, you're missing some guys, and you still
yeah,
played good. So with those
yeah.
guys back, you're going to be dangerous. But with the way it seems like to me that teams take these like yearly steps to make it to where they need to go, like to make it really into the deep playoffs in the finals, it's a different step process as a team as a whole. So if you guys could knock out the Bucks, that would be the knockout probably of the playoffs. I don't think there would be a bigger upset. I know you guys play well against them traditionally in the season, but Giannis has taken those steps and with his team each year. Bucks have gotten better and made it deeper. I feel like this is their season to make it to either the finals or the conference finals. So it's hard for me to see this year the Heat. I think the Heat take them to like that game 6 or whatever, like you were saying, Dallas might do to the Clippers, something like that.
Right,
I think
right.
we're going to see a ton of effort, but they would meet them in the second round, like you said,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Right. Right now it's
Um,
looking like a second round matchup, and the Heat has the length to throw at Giannis all game long. So the Raptors gave us a blueprint last season. They gave us a blueprint. They just put Kawhi on them, Siakam on them. It kind of slowed them down a little bit. Giannis averages close to 30 points a game during the season. Against Miami, that drops down to like 19 to 20 points a game. So then everyone else on his team has to step up and knock down shots. Outside of Chris Middleton, I'm not scared of anybody else on that team because Miami's so long. We have Derrick Jones Jr. we can throw at him. We have Jay Crowder. Let's not forget about Jay Crowder from Utah. Who's
he was
We
playing
have
good.
Solomon Hill. We have Andre Iguodala. That's four guys right there that we can throw at Giannis. And I haven't even mentioned Jimmy Butler yet, who's a dog on defense. So we have options to wear Giannis down throughout a game. So all right, so we go into the final tier, the elite teams that my man Austin, thinks that will could possibly win the NBA title. A shocker at number 3, though, the Los Angeles Lakers. Next, we have the Los Angeles Clippers, and then finally, Austin thinks that the Milwaukee Bucks will be this year's champion. So, what do you feel about the top 3? Lakers, Clippers, Bucks.
I just don't know. That's tough. That's so tough. I feel like it's hard for me. I don't even know what I want. Like I just, it's going to be a crazy series. If Milwaukee goes, Milwaukee just presents. They have a lot of size and stuff, but it almost doesn't even matter against LA
Right,
to me.
right.
Um,
The Lakers are the biggest team in the league. Period. Like they're so big.
and the Clippers, they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and they have that deep bench. They have Lou Williams. They just have so much. They have
And great coaching.
both um both LA teams are just so impressive, and yeah, it seems like on paper the Clippers have a deeper bench, but there's a lot of talent on that LA team aside from just LeBron and AD. I mean, Pope's having a great season, or he's playing great ball. Kuzma is like X factor. I think the LA fans like him more than what he really brings. Especially, not saying he can't do more, but on this team present, like he's just what he is. Like I don't get too hyped on Kuzma, but he's a nice piece to have. Uh, and then you have LeBron James. So I think we're gonna see AD kind of have a couple amazing series. Like, I think that's who. I think LeBron's going to do his thing. Everyone's going to be in awe. He's going to ball out. But then I think if AD can stay healthy, he's shown in the past what he can do with a team with nobody. And so it's almost like with Giannis and some of these new younger guys coming up, Luka. It's not like AD's gotten forgotten because he's in LA, of course, and his team's one of the best teams in the league. But I just expect really big things from him in terms of like maybe taking a game over when he needs to, things like that. And with his size and his ability, I think they're going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, all of
Um,
that is valid. All of that's valid. The only thing I'll say is I still don't think AD is going to be enough to beat the Clippers. Um, I look, the Lakers bench. Yeah, Kuzma's good. Kuzma can be great, but now he's playing alongside and behind AD, so that stunts his growth a little bit. But if you're the Lakers, you still make that trade because you got to get AD, right? But if he was on the team, Kuzma would be a stud. But now you're relying on J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters to help you in the crunch time? Absolutely not. Versus the Clippers bench. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that's
yeah.
scary for the Lakers. Yes, they have talent, don't get me wrong. But again, J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters in crunch time. I don't know. I really don't know. I would go with the Clippers bench over those guys. Um,
Yeah.
my pick for the NBA championship will be the Los Angeles Clippers. Not taking anything away from Milwaukee. You know I love Giannis. Not taking anything away from the Lakers. I love Anthony Davis. But I think the Clippers are the strongest team. Of these three, the Clippers are
Mm-hmm.
the strongest team. I don't see anyone beating them in a 7 game series. And let's not forget, of the three teams, you got, as far as coaching, you got Budenholzer, you got LeBron coaching the Lakers, and then you got Doc Rivers coaching the Clippers, right? So the Clippers, they have the best team, they have the deepest bench, they have the best coach of these three teams. So
Well, nothing you said there is not true. I'm just excited to see these matchups, man.
mhm.
Because another thing to keep in mind, though, is if um, the Lakers and Clippers meet in the Western Conference Finals, can that happen, or would
Yeah,
they meet
yeah.
before then?
They would meet in the Western Conference. As it stands right now, they would meet in the Western
Okay.
Conference Finals. Anything can
Depending
change next
on
week.
depending on who comes out of the East, including if it's the Bucks, they, I mean, it's not going to be a walk in the park regardless. But that Western Conference Final series just might beat those teams down enough to where an Eastern team can
It's
maybe
possible.
take advantage of it, because
It's possible.
that Kawhi LeBron matchup going at each other is, I mean, just last year what Kawhi did for Toronto, and it's like all the playoff performances of LeBron. Like, that might be one of the best like head to head matchups we could ever see.
I
And
would
it's
say
like they both
this.
can hit amazing shots and
I,
lead their team. So I'm excited.
I'll say this because I've watched Doc Rivers long enough to know he's very, very crafty. LeBron's not even going to see Kawhi until fourth quarters because you have Paul George that can guard LeBron as well. And we've seen
Right.
those playoff battles with the Heat and Pacers in years past. So I think Doc's actually going to have Paul George on LeBron for the majority of the games to save Kawhi one defensively and then put Kawhi on LeBron in crunch time. That's how I would play it if I'm Doc Rivers, and I actually think that's how Doc Rivers is going to play it. Like the Clippers defensively can be devastating to anyone because they have two guys that can guard the best player in the NBA. Oh, and see, so Riley's disagreeing with me right now, so he's leaning towards your side. But like I said, you have a 1-2 punch not only offensively but defensively. So I think George is going to get a lot of the run on LeBron before Kawhi does, just to save Kawhi.
I got you.
hmm that's the best way to play it. It's like it's the Clippers are matchup hell for anyone. Yeah, the Clippers gonna have to deal with AD, but they got some bodies they can throw at him too, right? So it's gonna be great. But like you said, that series may be the best series that we see in the playoffs this year once they get started. So,
That's gonna be wild to see if those
oh yeah,
two teams come up to each other.
oh yeah. Yeah, and I'll say this before we wrap up. You know, I was a little apprehensive about the league coming back. Man, all it took was like three scrimmage games, and I'm all in again. I was just like,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes, it's back. Thank the Lord. You know. Any last words, Bryce?
No, just like you, I'm excited. It was great to see, these teams run around. It looked like a lot of players look good. I can't wait to get a few of these other guys back that are missing, and then next season will be back to normal, hopefully. But it's exciting to see what we do get right now, and can't wait
Right.
to see the scrimmages get over with and actually see these guys go hard again.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I need everyone to do us a favor. Visit thehardwoodnation.net for the latest NBA news and rumors. Also follow us on Instagram at Hardwood Nation and also on Twitter at Hardwood Nation. Until next time, it's myself, CL Anthony, Bryce Ward. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.